Located in eastern Virginia between Richmond and Williamsburg, farmers in New Kent County grow a variety of crops, including soybeans, wine grapes, and pumpkins. Founded in 1654, New Kent County prides itself as the birthplace of the first First Lady, Martha Washington. The church where George and Martha Washington are believed to have tied the knot is still standing and still holds services. John Bryant works the land on Old Tavern Farm, which has been in continuous agricultural production since the late 1600s.
It was one of the taverns, or as they called it then, an ordinary, on the route between Williamsburg and Richmond. And this was the westernmost tavern in New Kent, and we're about 13 miles from Richmond, and this is where travelers would stay on their journey.
Today, Bryant grows a wide assortment of row crops, including broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, spinach, and tomatoes. But his best performing crop this year has been okra. And in mid-September, his pumpkin harvest was just beginning. Pumpkins were also on display on Paul Davis's property. He also grows field corn, sweet corn, and soybeans, and spent much of his career as an extension agent for the county.
We call this the grain belt of Virginia. We have some really good soils, the Pamunkey, the Teetotum, the Alta Vista on this farm, which are some of the best soils in this area. Hold a lot of water, hold a lot of nutrients. We get 40-some inches of rain a year. We get 180 frost-free days. There's not many places in the world that can grow 4 crops in 2 years.
Davis is a firm believer in no-till crop producing, and he says the soil quality has only improved since he started no-tilling over 20 years ago.
You don't have any soil erosion. The long-term advantage is you build soil organic matter, and that's what helps hold the water and the nutrients, and then it holds all the good bacteria, fungi.
The county's current extension agent says new farmers need to have a solid business plan to succeed here and be willing to diversify.
When you get into farming, 80% of the things that happen as far as success or not happens in the first 2 years on how it is organized, planned, produced, and part of that is, believe it or not, an exiting strategy or a strategy to keep it going and strong and nourishing. So most of the things can be prevented on the startup of a farm. We have a few that are starting nurseries in the county that want to do things like that are in the planting phases. There are some vineyards that are up and coming on the corridors. So there are things like that, but 80% of the problems can be resolved and taken care of in the first couple of years of planting.
New Kent County has a total of 138 farms spread out over 18,335 acres. The market value of all agricultural products is $5,128,000. Crops make up the vast majority of that, bringing in $4,780,000. Of that, grains account for $3,805,000. Fruits, nuts, and berries bring in $480,000, while hay and other crops deliver $224,000. Vegetables, melons, potatoes, and sweet potatoes account for $197,000. Livestock brings in $348,000, and of that, cattle and calves make up $234,000. Poultry and eggs account for $28,000. Many visitors know New Kent County as the home of Colonial Downs, Virginia's largest horse track. But other destinations with an agricultural flavor have emerged in recent years, including New Kent Winery. It offers a tasting room, patio seating, games, a brewery, and plenty of views of the vineyards. They grow grapes on 36 acres and produce between 6,000 and 7,000 cases a year.
We specialize mostly in vinifera and hybrid. Today we're standing in our Norton vineyard, which is a American variety native here to the Richmond region of Virginia. We're one of a few producers in the state of Norton.
Like the row crop producers here, Dombrowski says the land in New Kent is good for growing his crop.
We have a really nice rich soil, but also a nice sandy layer very deep, which helps kind of drain that water away. Vines tend to like a dry foot. They don't want a lot of water. Less water throughout the growing season, the better. And so really early on in their life and their maturity, you want to have water, maybe irrigate, and then by the time they reach year 4, 5, and 6, you really don't need irrigation in Virginia. We have steady rain patterns typically that can sustain the growth of a vine, swell berries, and then get you to a harvest point.
New Kent farmers are managing their operations along steady residential growth. Water and sewer are available only on the western side near the Richmond suburbs, and that's where most of the growth has taken place. A new school is being built right next to Bryant's farm.
New Kent is the second fastest growing county in Virginia. We see that there is a lot of residential construction. The county does a good job of planning and working with developers. One of the biggest goals, not only of the county leaders, but also of the residents, is to be able to preserve the agricultural heritage and open spaces. And there's different ways managing development that can happen.
Bryant manages an on-farm store and gets to meet many of the county's new residents. And just because development is within eyesight, farmers here are finding ways to coexist and even thrive together.
We're within a planned development, so we have a housing development going in right behind us today, across the street. But the vineyards are encompassed in that development, and we actually see a lot of support from those families and those adults that actually live in that neighborhood to coming to our events, to our winery, to try our product, try our beers, and kind of be kind of a focal point of the community as well.
Making friends and customers of their new neighbors is the path New Kent County farmers have taken so that everyone can succeed. In New Kent County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.